All right, let's go. All right. Florida wins the cup.
Right. You were right, Dad. You said your heart was with Edmonton, but your wallet was with Florida.
Yeah, no, my brain.
Your brain.
Something like that.
So what did you think of the game?
Well, I thought that was a good game. It was nothing spectacular. I thought that Florida reverted back to where they were the first three games. They started to hit.
Yeah, that's the one thing you did say when we were watching the game was that all of a sudden they started to hit again. Like the three games that they didn't win, they weren't hitting like they were in the first three games, and they did this game, which was kind of surprising because the game 7 you were a little nervous to hit.
Yeah, at home and everything like that.
So, Dad, one of the big controversy in the game was after the game, and we got an email from Big Daddy Simo, and he asked, how did you feel about Connor McDavid not accepting the Conn Smythe on the ice?
I remember like it was yesterday, the OHL championship game. No.
It was the GTHL championship.
The GTHL championship. And I got a picture at home. His team never won the championship, and he would.
It was almost the same thing. They lost in the game 7 against Mississauga Rebels. Robbie Fabre from Detroit, he was the captain, but McDavid won the MVP of the playoffs.
Yeah, and there's a picture taken, and you could see he didn't. No way he wanted to be there.
I don't think What'd you think of him not accepting it?
Well, what is he going out there? He get booed. You know he's going to get booed,
right?
And so what? So why go out there and take it?
I like Connor McDavid. You and I have been watching him since he's been 13 years old, and I'm a big fan and everything. But I think Bobrovsky should have won MVP.
Oh, I don't. I still say Connor McDavid should have won it.
Well, I think if you take Bobrovsky off, that team Florida doesn't win.
So that award is just for how you did in the playoffs.
Just how you did in the playoffs. When Bobrovsky played bad, they lost.
Right.
When they played good, they won. And I think that he should have won it. And
well, I don't think he should have gone out and accepted the trophy.
I think if he was at home, he should have. He would have gone out because of the fans. The fans would have been.
Well, what's going out and getting booed?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's bad enough. See Florida jumping all around and everything like that.
Yeah.
They all said, "Well, he's not a good loser." What did you say? Show me a good loser, and I'll show you a loser.
And I'll show you a loser.
Well, you always said as a kid, there's a difference between a good loser and a good sport. That's how you taught Tim and I.
Oh, I don't know.
There's a difference.
I don't know. I don't know whether I believed it or not, to tell you the truth.
So, Dad, let me ask you, for next season, is anything going to change for Edmonton that they could do a repeat of this season?
I think that they get a couple of tough defensemen, and Florida had a couple of tough defensemen. Everybody is looking for a big, tough defenseman.
Yeah, you saw that in the draft over the last 2 days. They're all, the defensemen now are all 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah, they were all big. They were all big and tough, and they looked tough.
Yeah, because there was a point where the smaller defenseman was kind of the thing, right? You got to get the small puck-moving defenseman. But you look at Florida, you look at Vegas, you look at Tampa, their defense is all big.
All big and tough. And if you've got a kid that's big, drill it into him. He's got to be tough.
When you and I, Dad, first started to watch kids, would have been close to 20 years ago. We started watching kids. If a player was big, like a big defenseman, they usually weren't very good skaters.
No.
And you look and go, well, he's got to grow into his body, and skating's got to improve. But now the kids.
They're all good.
They're all good. The kids are 6 foot at 17 years old, and they skate like the wind. So, and before it was you either had to pick size, and hopefully he can skate, or smaller, and he could really skate. But now it's size and skating.
Do you think this is because of the training that the parents put the kids through?
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think that. I think the equipment. Yeah, because you look at Owen Powers, when we saw him, he was a good skater, but his skating's improved a lot. But he was...
I never thought he would be as good as in the National Hockey League as he is.
No. And he was a good skater for his size, but he's an unbelievable skater. Was he like 6'5" or something like that? And he skates like he's 5'11". But I think that's why it's changed, is that you can get big defensemen who can skate now.
Well, what did you think of the award show?
Ugh. Did you see it, Cindy?
No,
Did you watch it, Dad?
Yeah, I was.
What'd you think of it?
I didn't think too much of it.
Oh, it was awful. Somebody should be fired for that. Like, the guys at the NHL, somebody should lose their job, how bad it was. It's embarrassing. They seem to have no respect for the players or for the trophies or for the history. They had some guy who says he was George Vezina, and he came out in a goalie and he says, I gotta pee. And, like, he just, like, do you ever think baseball would have a guy going out mocking, Babe Ruth?
No, in baseball, they honor their past players.
Right. They hold them in reverence. In the National Hockey League, they mock them.
They mock them. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. But but you go on the flip side, the draft was unbelievable.
Yeah, the draft was good.
that building I hear is
The
really
sphere
spectacular.
was just...
That was good.
Yeah.
That was good. And then to go in the crowd and get the
The thing. And you know what? I don't understand why that's the last time the teams will be there. They're going to do it like the NFL and basketball. Hockey wants to be like the U.S. But I don't understand why they I think it's great that the kids go down and they shake the hands of the coach and of the owners and stuff like that. They take a picture, and now they're not.
And when they go up and they keep the camera on, when they're
well,
when
it's
they
a lot cheaper. It's a lot cheaper.
Maybe it's they can't afford the bar bills in Vegas and stuff like that. So, but, the one thing I noticed I thought was cool. I can't remember who the guy was, but a guy came up. It was in the first round. Gary Bettman was there. And a guy came up, and I think it was an owner. Owners don't have the ties on, right? Because they're too cool to have a tie.
Yeah, well, they don't need ties.
And his shirt was like unbuttoned, like it was like pretty open. And Bettman walked up and waved his finger in front of his face, and the guy buttoned up his shirt.
I didn't see that one. I don't remember that one.
Yeah, I do. And then Celine Dion came out,
and she was pretty good. Michael Buffer was pretty good too.
Yeah, he was funny. Yeah, he was really good. The one guy goes, it was a kid from Guelph that got drafted, and he said that he's got the greatest draft notice than anybody because Michael Buffer's the ring announcer. Let's get ready to rumble. And then he says, and the Philadelphia picks, weighing in at 153 pounds, standing at a 5'11" from Guelph Storm. So it was...
well, I loved seeing Celine Dion looking so great. I mean, I don't know if you saw her documentary, but boy, she looked great.
She did.
On TV. So I was happy to see that.
Well, the Leafs picked Ben Danford from the Oshawa Generals.
Yeah, Oshawa had a good draft.
14 players. The CHL players were taken in the first round. 18 Canadians are taken in the first round.
Right. And the next biggest was 4. So, Dad, talking about the draft, Trevor Whiffen, who's our friend, and he's the governor of the London Knights of the OHL. They're the evil empire. Nobody likes the London Knights. But he did a tweet. The London Knights had 2 players selected in the first round of the NHL draft, Sam Dickinson and Sam O'Reilly. 2 Sams. The Knights have now had at least 1 player selected in the draft every year since the universal draft started in 1969.
Unbelievable.
Well, everybody's after the Hunters.
55 years in a row, no other team in the world can claim that amazing accomplishment, I think, in any sport. So for 55 years, a London Knight has put a guy into the National Hockey League.
What an accomplishment.
And Trevor Whiffen loves him.
He loves him. I always think, though, Dad, the funniest thing... Mark and Dale, there's a lot of stuff, but I told this story before, but I think it's the funny one. Remember when we saw them after they won gold in the World Championship? We were at Icelands in Mississauga, and Dale was the coach and Mark was the GM, and they for Team Canada in the World Juniors, and they lost the first game 6-0 to the Russians. So we walked up to Mark. We said, "Hey, congratulations on the cup." And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, He goes, we lost the first game 6-0, and he goes, and the headlines were Mark and Dale Hunter, the most overrated minds in hockey.
And they weren't.
Okay, Dad, here's a question from Matt Don Moyer, and it says, Grapes, did you happen to see the Hershey Bears won the Calder Cup?
Oh, I never saw them, but I heard about them. And the Coachella Valley Firebirds, 2 years in a row. They beat them 2 years in a row.
Well, you know what? Hershey has always a soft spot in our hearts for that city with your
you
history.
were both born there.
Oh, yeah. No matter where you were playing, Mom always went back to her hometown, Hershey, to give birth and everything.
That's the same rink, too, right?
Is it really?
No, it's not the same rink. It's a different rink now.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a different rink now. Mr. Hershey went in there and looked at it. And he said, looked at it around, and he said, too small. I turned around and walked out.
Yeah, because they got a big crowd there. But
Boy, that was steep there.
yeah,
Boy, if you were up and you fell, I don't know where you'd end up, but it wouldn't end up good.
Yeah, but I like a steep so that you're not looking at the person in front of his head to watch a game and everything.
Well,
yeah, because that's
and the door opened out onto the ice. I never forgot.
did it
Really?
Yeah.
It's like a suicide door in a car.
It was,
You mean the gates off the bench?
I kid you not, opened up on the ice.
Oh, my God.
Did anybody run into him?
George Patterson of Kingston, Ontario, was a professional hockey player. He ran into it, and
Boy, that must have hurt.
oh, jeez. And they weren't high though. They were.
Yeah, but regardless, that could have been a tactic for the
Well,
trainer to open up a gate when the player's coming down. Oh, sorry.
I kid you not. They opened up into the ice.
So I was telling this story to a guy, and he didn't believe it was true. So you tell me if it's true. You said when you played in Three Rivers, Quebec,
Three Rivers, Quebec.
that if a guy got a nice goal or a fight or something like that, that the fans would tip them.
They would take a $2 bill. We don't have a $2 bill now. They'd take a $2 bill and Dino Moscato, he used to win it every time. Dino Moscato.
So they who would the fans give it to? They give it to the
Guy, if you had a good fight or he blocked a shot good.
They give it to the trainer and say this is for Grapes?
No, they'd hand it right to the player.
Really?
Yeah, and the player would take it too. I never forgot that.
Did Eddie Shore trade you to that team just to spite you, you think, to go in a
Well,
Quebec?
I'll tell you a story.
It was around Christmas, wasn't it?
It was around Christmas. I was on the ice with there'd be about 7 guys, about eight guys. And Pat Egan did not like me. He was the coach. Of course, a lot of coaches didn't
Most
like
coaches
me.
didn't like you.
Yeah, Dad.
No, good coaches liked me because, and they were good coaches. Well,
Punch liked you. Punch Imlach liked you.
Yeah, Punch him like except when he called me Thingamabob. He said, Bob Armstrong and Thingamabob, go out there. Thingamabob.
Did you go out when he
No,
called
I
you?
wouldn't go.
You wouldn't go? You just
No,
sat
he
there?
sent somebody else out there with him. Anyhow.
So you're on the ice with Pat Egan and about
Pat Egan. And Pat Egan did not like me. He was a coach. And he was coming around. I never forgot this. And he didn't like me, and I didn't like him. And he coming around the net with just a jacket on.
So you guys were just scrimmaging.
Yeah, we were fooling around. And he come out, and he went behind the net, and he come out the blue line, and I met him at the blue line. I broke my stick over him. Next day, I was gone to Three Rivers, Quebec. He didn't lay down long, though. He got up, and his shoulder was bad. I was gone the next day to Three Rivers, Quebec. I remember he had a white house coat on, or what do you call it?
Bathrobe.
Bathrobe, yeah. And he come out and he says, "Here's something for you, Mr. Cherry." And I looked at it, and it was nothing. Geez, Three Rivers, Quebec. Where the hell is Three Rivers, Quebec? I didn't know where it was.
What did Eddie Shore tell you how to get there?
Oh, I didn't. Eddie Shore told me. He says, "You go through Connecticut, and you go through and when you hit the Canadian border, turn right." I got lost.
You got lost.
Yeah, because you're supposed to. Yeah.
I'll tell you that whole story someday. Pat Egan didn't stay down long, though. He got up, but the next day, I was gone.
So, Dad, I have to ask you, what did Mom think going to Quebec? I mean, she was.
I remember the day, if you don't mind me interrupting. You asked me about your mom, and she came back, and she said, I just want a little bit off the top. And she pointed, finger just a little bit off the, and I come home, she had a brush cut.
Oh, dear.
No, it was the style then. It was the style then. And she really looked French then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I remember Mom saying, she just saying, I want her a little bit off. The hairdresser didn't speak English, so she thought that's how long she wanted it. Right?
That's how long she wanted. But
I don't think I remember Mom saying she wasn't very happy.
No,
She
I
was
remember
not
crying.
happy.
Yeah.
I can remember as a little girl. I can remember.
Was she crying?
Yeah, she was crying. I can remember that because, you don't see your mom cry that often, and I remember that. But
I remember you. I was going to practice, and she said, Cindy's not eating.
Oh, jeez, you're gonna bring that up again.
Yeah. and she hasn't even touched your egg. You touched the egg.
I put
It's
my
there. I touched it.
What a brat I was, eh?
But you were a brat.
I was a brat. Then you got me up and threw me in the corner.
And I said, now stand there.
And I was crying, and then I wiped my tears. I can still remember. It was wallpaper on the walls, and I was picking it because I wetted it all, and so then I started pick the wallpaper, and I got
Just
in
what you
trouble.
need before practice, right?
Yeah. That's right.
Just what I needed before practice.
I was a brat.
Yeah, but you said you could speak French, though, eh? Cindy spoke French pretty quick.
Yeah, you spoke
Well, that's
French.
because you had a French babysitter,
Yeah,
and
but-
she used to bring French.
Till Verdun or Jurjon or something like that. Anyhow, I remember his wife used to speak French to you, and you used to answer in French.
Yeah, well, she was my babysitter, and she would bring nursery rhyme books, and they were all in French, and she would read French to me all the time, and I could speak fluently.
That's long gone now, though.
Oh, that's way gone.
Dad, Cindy, we'd like to thank our sponsor, NorthstarBets.com. They're a proud Canadian brand and one of the best places to play in Canada.
Yep. Why would you want to play any place else?
Right. And NorthstarBets.com has everything you're looking for. A sports book with built-in betting insights, analysis, slots, live dealer tables, exceptional customer service. So get into the action now with NorthstarBets.com, and NorthstarBets.com is not available in Ontario. And did you hear that Dave Portnoy, he's the guy that owns that Barstool kingdom he bet 150 grand on the Oilers at the beginning of the year, and if they won, he would have got like $1.7 million back.
Holy Dinah.
So he lost. He lost by a goal. He lost
But
that.
imagine, I wonder where he was cheering for.
Yeah, really. Well, the story goes, I guess I don't know if they're in Boston or they're in New York someplace. I think they're in New York, their head office. And one of his employees is a huge Florida Panthers fan, but loses every time he goes to a Florida Panther game. So game 6, this Dave guy flew him out to Edmonton, got him a ticket, and said, you better be in that rink. They lost, came back, and then said, okay, you're going to game 7, but they fell. So, Dad, we got a question from Facebook. It's Northern 500. It said, if Harry Sinden, the GM of the Bruins, wanted to trade Bobby Orr to Montreal,
I don't know why he would.
I don't know why he would, who would you want back?
I would want Serge Savard back, and I'd play him about 60 minutes a game. Serge Savard, I would say, was a killer for me.
Yeah, because you had, like, the big three were Lapointe, Robinson, and Savard, but it was like Lapointe and Robinson, I think, got most of the credit, right?
Oh, boy.
So not Guy Lafleur.
No, not Guy Lafleur, because we had enough forwards. I don't know where he'd fit him in.
So you'd want Savard.
I'd want Savard. Serge Savard would be the guy I'd want.
Okay, Dad, so we got one last question. Terry Blue and White, so I bet you he's a Leaf fan. Hey, Grapes, watching old Bruins game on YouTube that you were coaching got me wondering, do you think you could coach in today's hockey with today's players?
Well, they're more independent than they used to be. There's no doubt about that. When you get a 10-year contract,
Yeah, making $8 million a year.
yeah, and one player said to the coach, I'll be around here a lot longer than you. But I think I'd change a little with the players. They still have pride, and everybody knocks the hockey players today, and they still have pride and everything like that.
So, Dad, your style was very simplistic, around the boards and out, and then if there wasn't an odd man rush or whatever, correctly dump the puck in and go get it. Could you?
I have to laugh when the last minute of play, and in every game when they have to score, they dump it in and they go to get it. They put it in deep. That's what they say now. They put it in deep. They don't. They dump it in.
But when we were watching the game, you told me player dumped it in, and you go, you see, Cindy, he went to the bench. In my day, that guy that shot the puck in went in after the puck. That was the difference between you and them.
Coming down the left-hand side, and you put it in the right corner, and you always put it in the right corner. The right winger didn't even look. He just kept right on going.
Yeah.
And
but you got to have the right type of players, because that's a tough way to play. So, though, Dad, when you had the players dump it in, you expected your player to go in the corner first to get the puck.
We went in the corner first, and they'd always, they'd get hammered. I remember Clayton Bahal. He used to let the guy go in first, and I said, "Yeah, but you're hitting him, but you're hitting him from behind. You got to go in first and get the puck." Clayton Bahal.
And get hit.
And
that would be an interesting stat in the National Hockey League. What player gets hit the most? What forward gets hit the most in the corners?
Yeah, that would be a good
meaning one. I gotta admit, I was watching in that finals. There were guys that dumped the puck in, and then they'd go into the corner. They'd kind of let up a little bit.
And a lot of the players, they look tough when they're hitting the guy in the corner. You're going, the guy that's doing the hitting, it's the guy that's taking the hit, taking the hit to get the puck out.
Got to go in first to get the puck.